Views expressed on this episode of the Came to Believe Recovery podcast do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Recovery Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this episode should not be taken as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guests. KHLT and Take 12 Recovery Radio are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. Well, greetings, my friends. I am the Monty Man from Take 12 Recovery Radio, and this is the Came to Believe Recovery Podcast. And now, here are your Came to Believe Recovery podcasting broadcasters to launch us forth on this week's show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Came to Believe Recovery Podcast. My name's Alicia, and I'm here with Tom and Monty.
Greetings.
Hi, guys.
Greetings.
It's like one of the first weekends we're not coming off a retreat.
We look like a eyeglass commercial.
I know, right?
Right? Different colors, different shapes.
Yeah, you're right. No retreat this last week. Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Until November.
And to tell you the guys, we are near sold out in Malibu.
Ooh, you better sign up.
That's good.
If you're by Malibu.
Yeah, if you're by, I mean, I think there was like 6 or 7 spots left as of yesterday, and so it's really exciting. That's a
One
public
thing I know
retreat.
about Malibu is it's on the menu at Sizzler. Malibu chicken.
Is that with Monterey cheese and bacon?
Which
No,
we will not
it's
have
really
at the
horrible.
retreat.
It's like frozen chicken patty that's breaded that's got a piece of Swiss cheese melted over the top of it. You know what I mean?
Okay. I was thinking of something.
But
But
it's
no.
important, too, for those that watch our podcast and they're very familiar with the fact that we're so involved with the Salvation Army Partnership. But we do have a public retreat program, and we
Yeah.
are looking to actually expand them in the 2026. We'd love to do more of them, and so that it's not just,
Private.
signing yourself into a rehab to get this program.
Right.
You can access it in public, and we'd love to do more and more of them. So keep an eye on the website. Volunteer if you have some acumen towards what we're doing and you want to learn about it. Come help us.
Nevada City's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's by me. So if you want to come to Northern California, come to the Nevada City retreat. That's the weekend after Malibu, November 20 through 22, I believe.
And if you're in
And then
Florida, the
Florida.
weekend of 14 through 16, the same weekend of Malibu, if you're in Florida, there's one in Leesburg. So, the idea that we have 2 going on in one weekend, that's also kind of a cool thing.
So let me ask you. So if somebody, because this happened yesterday, I got a phone call from a young lady and that wanted to know if I had any more Came to Believe Recovery Legacy guides. And I said, no, but here's where you can get them. And I sent her to the website. And she is very much interested in going through it. But I mean, she's not able, at least from what I understand, she's not able to travel very far and that kind of thing. So I suggested that she go to the Zoom meeting on Wednesday and find another lady that she can talk to that can maybe help walk her through that legacy guide.
Yep, that would be me.
Yeah. So her
And there's
name is,
also a virtual retreat in January, but she probably doesn't want to wait.
she may. So
Okay.
she's in the field. I mean, she's gone to school to study to be, drug and alcohol and all that stuff. But I gave her your first name, Alicia. Her first name is Kelly. Hi, Kelly, if you're watching or listening.
Kelly?
She's a really good friend of ours, and I think you'd really enjoy her. But that's what some people can do too. They can start by getting the legacy guide, right? And then they can do. Did you say January is the virtual?
January is the virtual retreat.
Is
It'll
the
be on our
virtual-
website soon.
Well, that's
I don't
cool.
think it's
Yeah,
It'll
Yeah.
be open. The registration will be open soon. Yeah.
I think she'd love that. Yeah, right on. Good deal. So we do have a mailbag to open.
Yay!
You've got mail.
All righty. We have 2. Our first one is, and we mentioned him last week because we hadn't heard from him in a while. Gall sent in an email. Great podcast, y'all. Now I sound American, he said. Coming into AA and getting a sponsor has been a vital part of my program and progress. I picked a good one that I trust. My problem was not just alcohol. I had a greater problem, which was the separation from God. Now that I practice the steps 10, 11, and 12 daily, I get to make that conscious contact. However, if I was to slip from this daily practice, I can land back to where I started. Therefore, I would say that having a sponsor that keeps me in check is another vital layer in the program that keeps me on track and growth. Thanks, Monty and Company. Gall. So
So it wasn't a question, that was a comment.
it's just a
correct?
comment. Yeah, kind of reassuring us and himself that as long that if he stays in 10, 11, and 12, he's in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't, if he veers off, he can get right back on. And that's important to note, because for the most part, the people that did this back in the day didn't fall off, but the few that did got right back on, and then they stayed too, which is really cool. Our second email, this is really interesting. Hello, team. They call this team. Would you ever consider having a show on the topic of alcohol as a toxin, which in my opinion isn't beneficial to anyone? Or perhaps you could just talk about it as a response to my email. I have never seen any positive results to alcohol consumption, but certainly have seen my fair share of negative consequences. Your thoughts, please. Lisa L. from Gilbert, Arizona.
I love this one.
Yeah, but that would really enrage people.
Yeah, but we can talk about it here. Let's just respond. I mean, it is a toxin. Lisa,
it's poison.
It's poison. I'll go far. It's poison. I've asked people, when you feel buzzed and drunk and you think, do you know what that is? And they're like, what? I'm like, your brain is poisoned. It's hampering your brain's ability to function. That's what you're feeling.
That's what you're feeling.
Scientific, biologically, it's a poisoning.
And the people that say I don't know what it is, but you guys probably will, the thing that's in wine that's good for you, you have to actually drink like 10 gallons of it to get that amount of whatever it is that they think they're getting from wine. It's poison.
And yet the doctors will tell you, I'm talking about a small, like half of a shot glass. They're talking about nothing. A very small amount. Yeah, so it just doesn't make any sense.
So you just take a little bit of poison?
Well,
it's good.
Your liver can metabolize, 1 ounce an hour. So if it metabolizes the ounce, it doesn't get to your brain and poison it. So you'd be all right drinking 1 ounce an hour, but it wouldn't be, I could never do that. 1 ounce.
1 ounce is a shot, your typical shot glass.
Oh, yeah. What's that? What
is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was like, what? So I love that subject. I think it's totally relevant to talk about.
Which is a really cool segue into something I wasn't going to bring up, but I thought, what the heck? So there's a gentleman, his pen name is Jonathan Harrison. The reason he has a pen name is he is very concerned for his own personal safety because of how he's pulling the covers back on the alcohol industry and the enablers. He's written a book called Alcoholics and Their Enablers. Oops, beep. And it's very interesting because what he talks about is ethanol. He says, and as I started reading this book, he says, from this moment on, we will be referring to alcohol as ethanol because that's exactly what it is. So just because you put it in your gas tank doesn't mean you need to put it in your body. There are no health benefits to ethanol in your body. None.
Same with sugar.
Right. So like when you said this might tick some people off about this topic, well, okay. What is that saying? First you know the truth and the truth will take you off,
free?
Right?
Or take you off.
But he talks about what does ethanol do, all the different things that it does and how the industry has really, I got great news because next Monday's show on the Take 12 Recovery Radio show, we're going to have Jonathan Harrison on to talk about this very topic. So when I saw this email, I thought, wow, this is good. This is good. So why is he concerned about people coming after him? Because the alcohol industry is huge and the information in this book is huge. So you're right, Lisa, from Gilbert, Arizona. I've heard Gilbert, Arizona is a very pretty part of Arizona.
I have been there. My kids used to live in Goodyear, Arizona, and it was right there by Gilbert.
Yeah, and I guess they have a philosophy there. You know how most of the things in Phoenix is all, cactus yards and rocks and stuff like that. No, they've
But
gone
it's
green in Gilbert, and it's actually working better than the other side. But anyway, Lisa, I'm glad. I hope you enjoy Gilbert, Arizona. But you're right. I don't know of any. I can't think of one thing that has ever been accomplished that is positive, good, and healthy behind the consumption of booze. I just can't think of it.
no,
Can you
there
guys?
isn't.
I just
No. It wrecks your body, it wrecks your liver, it wrecks your brain, it wrecks your sleep, it wrecks everything.
so you don't have to be an alcoholic to understand that alcohol isn't good for you, right? I mean, well, I just have a few at dinner. I don't know. I could really go on a tangent about this because
Well, maybe we need a show. I just wrote it down on my list.
you're right, though. I did a show years ago called Booze, Pot, in the Church. And I got a lot of hate mail.
Good. I like it.
Well,
So get some thinking.
it's like the sugar thing. I was talking to somebody this weekend about cereal, and I said, cereal, there's nothing good for you about cereal. And they looked at me funny. I said, it's the biggest hoax in food industry since they duped us. They completely duped us into thinking cereal was okay for us. It's manufactured poison industry that has addicted. There's nothing good about cereal. Nothing.
And heart healthy is a joke.
It's all
causing heart attacks.
Yeah.
It's shaped like a heart.
And they looked at me and said, research it. Don't take my word for it.
I think
it's a
Look
scam.
at Kellogg's and Post and all those people.
They did it
It's
on
ridiculous.
purpose.
How's the alcohol process? Grains, sugar, right?
Poison.
So just think of this. When you're eating your bowl of Cheerios, it might be a gateway to alcoholism.
Right.
That's a bit of a stretch, I know, but maybe.
It is. Didn't Eric Clapton say the gateway drug is sugar to being an alcoholic? Or
Well, if he
maybe
said
was
it,
him.
that's
Somebody
true.
like
We
that.
need him on the show.
Eric.
Get Eric on. I just got to play with him, and then I'll be done with all this off on tour. Well, we'll be doing.
Tom's on tour.
Well, I'll get him to do the podcast from the road. We'll be on the tour bus or so. Well, although he doesn't go on a tour bus, he's on a tour plane.
Yeah,
that would be fun. Anyway, I think these are great subjects, and I think it's reality for people, and people don't want to see it. They don't want to look at it because it's like food, Alicia. It's too easy, the food, and they just don't want to. They just can't make that leap because it's all on the food shelves. It's everywhere, and everyone else is doing it. So, I mean, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, but use your common sense. Look at everybody else. They're all sick. And everybody's overweight.
They haven't drawn the line to it.
And nobody was like that.
They don't draw the line to it. I know.
Food, processed food. It's ridiculousness. But that's not what our topic is about. But actually, it kind of is. It's kind of linked.
Kind of. All right, let's close the mailbag and then we'll bring the topic in. Hit it, maestro.
You got mail.
What is that?
What is what?
It's my lighter, like for the song in concert. It's my electric
It's your
candle lighter
electric.
thing. I love this thing.
What's the topic there, Alicia?
Binging on food, drinking, Netflix, social media, shopping, all the things.
Netflix.
Netflix
Okay,
binge.
now you're meddling.
But we can talk about where the line is. Tom and I were talking about it yesterday, and it gets a little gray of like, is it binging? Is it not? Is it heavy use? Like we talk about at retreats. Are you a heavy drinker? We have to see where that line is. Or maybe just put it out there for other people to think about.
Let's in the arena of sitting in front of the idiot box, and I say that tongue in cheek because I'm guilty of it. Some people are foodies, right? They call themselves foodies, right? Because they're just like food's their thing. I'm a movie E. A movie E? A movie EE or a miniseries E. Miniseries is E. Anyway, you get my point. And so Marcia and I will sit down. We've got a couple shows that we love. Give me an example that are made for TV series. Series? My wording today is messed up. So one of them is Matlock, the new Matlock, with Kathy Bates. She plays Madeline Matlock. And the song that we started with at the beginning of the show was actually the theme from Matlock from the original. But it's family safe, it's funny, it's also you want to go to the next one, right? You don't want to just end up at the end of the first episode, because there's a hook at the end of the first episode, there's a hook at the end of the second episode, and so on. That makes you want to continue to watch it. Interesting, right? And sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. And so what Marsha will do, because she's more disciplined than me, she'll say, okay, let's stop at episode 3 because we're going to run out of episodes. And then what are we going to do? I said, well, we'll find another one. Right? That's kind of an interesting dialogue in and of itself, right? Does that speak to the addictive nature of wanting more or to continue in something? I don't know. Is that an innocent thing? But we do it. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you another example, and then I'll let you guys go. The original Maze Runner. I hadn't seen the third one. I saw the first and second, but it's been years. So I watched 1, 2, and 3. PG-13. Good sci-fi, futuristic stuff, pretty safe. But I had to watch all 3.
Well, I think the main question is it taking you away from your life? Is there defects of character? Is it laziness? Are you binging on ice cream while you're doing it? I mean, there's so many avenues. Is it just relaxation and your fun time with your wife? You know, I think that's the gray line that Tom and I were talking about yesterday.
So I don't think, it doesn't do any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can we turn it off? We've like, oh, time to go. And just turned it off and forgot about it until like the following week. You know what I mean? So in our case, I would say that I hate this word, but I would say as far as binging TV, Marsha and I are pretty much normies in that, dysfunctional.
Tom, what do you think?
Well, I'm thinking we need to go. I think we should start here in a second with binge eating, because that's the classic example of this. And this has some real world things to talk about. And then there is binging on social media and like Netflix. And there is a line, like Alicia said, where it does become harmful. And then binging on drugs, like hard drugs, that has an even different consequence. We were looking at that yesterday. But, you know, what do we choose not to do to watch Netflix or social media? And I was talking to Alicia, I can get sucked into the Facebook or something on Netflix or Instagram. And while I can make a case, there's some nice stuff I saw and somebody posted something that I was interesting and there's some news. It generally there's better things I could be doing with my time. It's
a time suck.
It's a time suck. And it'll put me a little bit late for going to the gym, or I won't write the email I was going to write. And if it definitely stops my morning, like quiet time and takes over that. Yeah, I don't think it's not binging, but it does suck you in. So that
True.
You start watching and you can't stop watching. Now, doing things like you said, Monty, like last night, The Diplomat's one of my favorites, right? It's on Netflix. And we've been waiting for season 3 for a year, right? And it drops like yesterday, and I'm already 3 episodes into the 8. There's only 8 episodes. By the end of the week, I'll be done. We'll be waiting another year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I watched it starting at 8 o'clock last night. I was done with work. It was a choice to entertain me. I really enjoy it. You know what I mean? So while I binged 3 episodes, so what? Right? Now, if Roger's listening, I'm throwing you under the bus, brother. And I don't even know that this is a problem, but it's something I thought about, because when we were in Las Vegas, we got Roger on Landman. And remember, Alicia? Landman. It's Billy Bob Thornton. You were there.
I know, but I wasn't listening
He
because I
wasn't
don't know
watching,
what that is.
but he watched the whole 10 episodes.
Oh, he did?
While we were there.
Yeah,
right.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Really?
So what, could we all have been practicing our steps? Could we all have been talking more about, yes, we could have been. So is that a binging? That probably was a little bit of a binging. But this social media stuff does, and that's like another episode, because we're going off a little bit on a tangent. It's not really binging; it's social media addiction, actually.
Well, it's binging
Well,
on it.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, binging for me would be if I took off work, if I called in sick and had to watch, if I wouldn't take my kids to school, or I didn't go shopping, or I didn't feed the dog, or who knows. But but that seems to be one of the big things today is social media, because of its allure. I don't know anyone that doesn't have some level of dependence on it now, if they're using it at all. They just do.
I don't.
Everyone, some level of dependence.
You can't even hold a job unless you have a smartphone.
Right.
But let me ask you something, though. Would you guys say that, see, I always think of binging as something outside of addiction in the sense of when I binge on Netflix, or when I binge on pastries. And instead of having one pastry, I'll eat the whole thing, right? But then I don't eat pastries for another year. It's not a thing. But when I did do it that day, it was a binge, right? So is that actually an addiction, or is that a binge?
All right. Well, that's the question. Here's this. So I Googled binging versus addiction. All right. Alicia did this yesterday, and we did it actually very specific. So we'll go through them. So this one is food. Binge eating disorder. It's actually a named disorder recognized by the medical field. Mental disorder characterized by current. All right. It says, and food addiction, listen, are two distinct eating disorders that share some similarities but have significant differences. BED, binge eating disorders, recognized mental disorder characterized by recurrent episodes of binge eating, which can lead to negative consequences such as weight gain or damaged relationships. In contrast, food addiction is more biochemical condition where individuals lose control over their eating behavior, often consuming highly palatable foods despite negative outcomes. While BED involves a cycle of overeating, binge eating, and feelings of guilt or shame, food addiction is more about the brain's reward system and the emotional psychological factors that drive behavior.
So one's more about powerlessness than the other.
Yeah, right. But it can still be very damaging. Binge eating, beyond being full. When 2 donuts you feel full and you have 10.
But like Monty said, if he did it like once a year,
it's still a binge. I mean, a binge
if you
is a
do
binge.
it every day or twice a week, it becomes an issue.
Well, you certainly could become, as far as the sugar goes, and the carbs become chemically dependent to it if you're not careful. And then it once a year becomes 2 or 3 times a year, and then so on and so on and so on.
So let's hear what it says about social media.
Yes.
So the distinction between binging on social media and addiction lies in the nature of the behavior and its impact on mental health. So here we go to behavior again. Binging can be part of a larger pattern of behavior, such as social media addiction, which is characterized by a compulsive need to engage with social media platforms. Addiction can lead to negative consequences such as anxiety, depression, and disordered eating, particularly in adolescence. It's crucial to recognize the signs of addiction and seek support when needed. So that has a dangerous element to it now. How many of these kids that sit up in their room and stare at their phones all day and they can't stop doing it? And they miss social engagements. They don't want to be in social engagements. They feel detached if they don't have their social media. They're missing something.
Yeah, they're not engaging socially, which is absolutely necessary for the human psyche. You need to be engaged with other people. We were never created to be alone. But
they think they are doing that with the phone, but they're not.
Yeah, but they're not. Even new mothers will tell you about the skin touch, right, of the baby, skin on skin, how important that is. There's something, women have a chemical, I can't remember the name of it now, but there's a chemical that is produced when you give a woman a hug, that if she does not get that chemical in her life, it can make her very, very, very sick. Guys don't have that. Gals do. So there's something about touch right? So if you're involved in the social media thing, or you're constantly stuck on your phone, you're not getting any of that stuff. You're losing all that. We were out to dinner last night, and they had taken, in the middle of this restaurant, they had taken all the big tables and they'd moved them to another room, and we noticed that there was a big gathering going on, an event of some kind, right? And there was no talking. Everybody was on their phone. There was probably 15 people in there. Everybody was on their phone.
You can see that at all restaurants. Usually the phones are on the table. They're looking at the phone.
Crazy.
Like, why did you even go out to dinner? Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
And there's a difference, though. I mean, let's talk about this. Like when I had one drink, the phenomenon of craving kicked in, and I could not stop. There was this physical reaction. Is it the same when you're binging? Is it when you start looking at, I think at some levels, there is a trancing element to the screen. They say there's something about it that excites the brain. And especially in those susceptible to it, it does have a trancing effect. It's a very appealing, and it's hard to break away. But is it the phenomenon of craving? Is it the same thing that we see when we have a drink? And if they never had any, would they be okay, right? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be a great question for Dr. Amen of the Amen Clinic. He's probably the world's most
Yeah, you got word problems today.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Renowned
Like his
brain
fifth.
specialist in the world.
Well, yeah, you need him for other reasons. Yeah.
But that's very interesting, because the neural pathways and the dopamine increases and the serotonin and all that stuff, the pleasure centers, right? It would be really interesting to see a brain scan of an alcoholic, for instance, who takes the first drink, and somebody who wants to but can't, and somebody that wants to watch something they've been watching and can't, and see what lights up, right, in the brain. So it's
they know that it does with food, with sugar. It lights up the same
Absolutely it
areas.
does. Yeah.
It does.
You know, if you mentioned chocolate eclairs, and I'm very picky when it comes to that toxin. It's got to be a good toxin, right? But if I saw one of those things and it was one of those incredible, these chefs from New York make them and all that stuff, and I saw one of those, I am telling you, I do not have to eat it for my brain synapses to be going. I mean, it is lighting up, baby. I don't have to put it in my
Yeah,
mouth.
they say that a big part of the addiction with food is the anticipation of it. Like when I was a binge eater for 33 plus years, and I was very excited thinking about going to the store and thinking about what I was going to buy. That was probably more exciting than actually eating it.
It's the same, and it's the same or very similar when it comes to alcohol addiction and narcotic addiction too. I remember standing in a liquor store waiting to get my specific kind of whiskey that he got just for me, the owner, right? And there's a lady in front of me, and she's having a discussion about what she's going to have for dinner and what kind of wine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sober, for crying out loud. Get out of my way. As soon as she walked away and I was next up to the counter, I was calm again. What's that about? Right?
Because you knew you were going to get it.
Yeah, the process of waiting for the dope dealer and then anticipation, and they come back and they don't have it. And you go into a depression. I mean, so the anticipation of getting that food, yeah, I wonder if it's the same or very, very similar anyway, which would mean that this binging thing can actually lead to some permanent effects, can't it? Maybe even, I dare say, maybe even death.
Well, it certainly can with drugs, it says.
Yes.
Drugs is the one where binging is dangerous. When you went, these other had all these other kind of softer consequences, but the drugs was you leading to an overdose. Like, are you going to overdose on donuts and die? Probably not.
Probably not.
And even alcohol, you're probably going to pass out way before you die, even though you could die from over drinking alcohol. That's for sure. It's really related, we think, Alicia and I were talking, to the heavy drinker that the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about. And when we're teaching step one and we're helping people to determine, are you an addict or are you just a heavy drinker? So are you a food addict or are you just a binger? Are you a social media addict or are you just a binger? Well, let's see, what's the test for those? Like the
Yeah,
test
but even
for,
if you're just a binger, you need to do the steps. That is bad. I was
she's so
both, and it's
judgmental.
bad.
I know she's so just, but the hard drinker in the big book is they make a distinction between that person, not to say that it doesn't cause consequences,
Right.
and that their life isn't issues and they could get drunk drivings and they could lose marriages and, you know, it could have health issues, but there's something different about it than the alcoholic. They
Yes.
have this ability, if certain things happen on their own, to stop.
Well,
And
you know what it is, Tom? It's not what happens when they do drink. It's how they think about alcohol when they're sober.
that's right.
You know, and that's the obsession. If I'm
Yeah,
if I'm standing in front of the liquor store saying after 2 years of sobriety saying, "You know what? I probably could have one." That's you know what normal drinkers, if you want to say there is any, would say they don't think that way. They have their reason to. I think that way. Or I used to. I don't anymore, but
I think the heavy drinker thinks about booze while they're drinking. They're thinking, and when they're not, they aren't thinking about it.
right.
Where we aren't thinking about it when we have it, but we think about it when we don't. Where's the next one? When's the next one? I think the binge person says, "Oh my God, what happened that last time? I am not drinking again to do that. That was a terrible thing." And they don't. They have some ability to manage their behavior where you and I go, "Gosh, I'll never drink again after last night." And by 11 o'clock, we're drinking, thinking
Yeah.
something different will happen. There's a difference in the way a heavy drinker manages all this.
Yeah.
And it's in the thinking. You're right.
Yeah, it's yeah, yeah, and when I said, you know, could it kill you? I guess it could. You could binge alcohol, not be an alcoholic, and binge alcohol on New Year's Eve and end up dead of alcohol poisoning.
Well,
Let alone a car wreck or something like that. But couldn't
it's
you end up
interesting.
dead if you're okay? Let's talk about the food thing again. If you're pounding Monster energy drinks, I know a guy. He was real involved in Absolute Ministries up in Washington. This is a faith-based clean and sober housing program, right? Guy was a great guy. And everybody told him, his doctor, you got to stop drinking those energy drinks, man. Your heart's not going to like it. And sure enough, he had a heart attack. And the cause of death was those things.
Wow. How much was he drinking?
3 at a
That's a
time.
lot. Wow.
So the food killed him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he was a food addict. Maybe. Can you be addicted to energy drinks? Of course. It's an addictive substance. There's caffeine and taurine and all that weird stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As I raise my cup of coffee.
Exactly.
I had a thought when you were talking about that with the energy drinks. When we do Sober St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
which is that on St. Patrick's Day, it is in highlighting that it's the largest binge drinking day of the year. And
Really? In the country?
yeah, more teenagers die from binge drinking on St. Patrick's Day than any other day, which is they drink so much that they die.
Wow.
The first time they drink. Because they
Is it
drink
because
so
the
much, they
parents
don't
are
understand
very
it.
lenient about it on that day?
Oh, they just go out. They think they're going to drink on St. Patrick's Day. Is their first day. They're 18 or 17 or whatever. But it's the number one binge drinking day of the year. It's when people that don't normally drink would go and maybe drink, and more deaths on St. Patrick's Day than any other day from binge drinking.
That happens with hazing in fraternities and all that, where they'll take some new guy and they'll make him to pass one of his tests. He's got to chug, you know, or they'll turn him upside down and do the beer bong thing or whatever. And then the guy dies. Pretty common. No history of alcoholism in the family, nothing. Certainly not with himself. And then he's gone. Hey, gads. So
Now we're coming up to Thanksgiving, which is probably the biggest food holiday where people binge on that day, which could be an addict thing and a non-addict thing. Again, if it's once a year, I don't know if it's that big of a
you know
deal.
what? Here again, and I don't know, this was before I ever started paying attention to carbs and all that stuff. On Thanksgiving, I would I would look at that food and go, this looks awesome. And then I'd sit down to eat and I can't eat very much. It just,
Well, you're the only one in the world.
it's just,
I've never heard of that in my life, but okay.
I can't, I try, I'll put a bunch of mashed potatoes and dressing and the turkey and all the stuff, right? And take a couple bites of each. And I'm like, oh, I can't finish this.
Well, that's good for you, but don't you see everybody else not doing that?
Maybe now that I'm more careful with what I eat, it'd be harder for me to say no.
Now you eat turkey and that's it. Everything else is carbs and crap.
I'm going to eat my green beans. I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go. Green beans and turkey and maybe a keto dessert.
So I guess what we can get down to is that there is a condition, just like if you get drunk twice a year at a wedding or something, where it points to no problem whatsoever. It's just a thing that happened. Same with binging, food. You could binge food 2 or 3 times a year for whatever reason, like it is Thanksgiving. I had too much, and have it mean nothing at all.
Yep, I agree.
And it just, a binge in itself, the word, doesn't necessarily have to be
binge eating disorder.
Yeah, right. I mean, it has a consequence. I mean, when you overeat it, there's something going on in your body, probably make you tired or some negative thing that wouldn't have happened. Yeah. But it's well within the threshold of like something you wouldn't ever do anything about. If you did it twice a year, it's whatever. It's an indulgence. And then there is the heavy consequence, the binging that is consequential. And we have lots of people show up at our retreats that say they were binge drinkers. So they didn't drink all the time. Yeah. But when they did, they couldn't stop and they binged for 3 days and have huge consequences and stuff would happen, go to jail and they'd have blah, blah, blah. Right. But then they'd go weeks or two and they didn't drink for a while. And I don't know that person, but I know some of them.
Yeah, the people that have had enough, I don't know. I don't understand that.
I know. Well, you could stop then, because I'd have that weekend and then just keep going into the week.
Yeah.
I mean, I drank 5 days a week. When in the heavies of drinking, honestly, 5. And the other 2, I was so hungover, so sick, I just couldn't, but I would probably smoke pot or do something, Yeah. But I was 5 and probably long strings where I had some amount of alcohol every single day in my life, some amount.
Yeah.
So that was different than that was centered in my mind. So it can be a problem, binge drinking and binge eating, even if it's not classed as addiction, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So Alicia, were you a binge eater when you did your eating disorder that was sober, or was it?
Sure, yes.
All the time eating.
I think it was addiction and binge eating disorder, but they didn't have that diagnosis when I was in it. I don't think.
Did you move from binge eating into bulimia or any of that?
I started binge eating and anorexic behaviors when I was 15, and then bulimia for probably a year. And then it just got too hard to hide, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And so then I just stuck with binging and starving myself. Back and forth. And over-exercise entered in when I was like late 30s.
So just for the audience and for my edification, what did a binge look like? Like, describe a day's binge. What was it?
Most of the time I was starving, basically starving myself all day and teaching 3 to 9 classes, and then being so hungry, then I would eat like a regular meal of dinner, and then I would go and get I specifically remember putting 2 granola bars and then peanut butter and jelly, and then 2 granola bars on top of that, and eating that, and then getting into the nuts, chocolate covered nuts, and then just feeling guilty and sick and shame, and it would just make me want more, and then I would get more, and it was just ongoing craziness. And then I would starve the next day because I was feeling guilty, and then I would binge again at night.
Did you, when you starved the next day, did you say, okay, I'm going to manage this better today?
No, I was just in shame and guilt and saying, I'm going to starve until I can starve this food off and exercise it away. And it never happened. It was just, it was crazy.
Yeah,
And
that's
thinking, I
ridiculous.
was looking at it as like a diet, but it wasn't. It was,
So
And
did you
I
ever
got
like
down.
have dinner and then go eat a whole pizza and then go get ice cream and then get up in the middle of the night and eat
Yeah,
something? I
I
mean, it
would
was like
get,
that.
yeah. But try to like not eat it, and eat half of it, and then put it in the trash can, and then get up in the middle of the night and dig it out of the trash can and eat
Oh
it.
yeah, there's a
And then,
Seinfeld episode about that, right?
yeah.
George got the
And
kicked out of
then
it.
knowing that I would do that again, I would get coffee grounds and put it on the food, and then I wouldn't eat
You
it
put coffee grounds on your food?
in the trash can, so I wouldn't get up in the middle of the night and eat it.
I thought you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the problem. Who does that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Wow.
You have to
know.
tell that story. That's a good one for
That
your.
is a
Yeah.
good one.
I would
No
get up
control.
in the middle of the night and leave and go to Jack in a Box for their cookies and cream shake. And then next door, I would go to the yogurt place and get all the toppings and more toppings and just be sick.
And you weren't
And
really
just,
hungry. You just.
no, it was emotional hunger. Well, sometimes I was hungry because I starved for 10 days at a time, sometimes. But yeah, it was more of that void, like that spiritual malady I was trying to fill.
So wait,
fill.
you go off 10 days without eating anything?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, coffee. I was drinking coffee. Yeah.
Didn't your sugar levels like just take a dump and just weren't you like?
I wasn't checking then. That was
But didn't you
before
feel?
I knew all this
Didn't you
stuff.
feel like?
Yeah, but I felt high on it. Because you know when you get ketones and it's a high. And it was
Yeah.
control, and I was losing weight, and people were noticing. So then I would go another day, and it was ridiculous. I have to be careful now to kind of watch myself with people complimenting me, because I'll just go on a tizzy of like, then I should lose 5 more pounds.
A compliment would welcome
Can
another
send me in the
compliment.
swirl. Yeah, swirl.
Wow.
Yeah. So Timothy, my husband, is very careful of like not complimenting me, but then I can go on a tangent on that. Like he's not even noticing that I'm down to 100 and whatever. So both ways people lose in my world, because if you're not complimenting me, I'm fat, and if you are, then I'm not skinny enough. And that's a constant step 10 practice in my life.
You know, I've got to say this. I'll bet you what you just shared right there. There's somebody listening that goes, "She gets me."
Yep. I'm just thinking the same thing.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
really important. That whole thought process.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Because I can see it said you look thin, you're looking good. It's a positive thing. And then you think, so this looks good what I've been doing. I must do this more.
So I'm going to lose
Right.
5 more.
Let me do this more.
Or it could put me on a food crave because, I look good, so I can eat.
Man, it could go
And
either
so
way.
it goes
Right.
both
I mean-
ways. Yes.
Yeah. That's where things like slogans like, "Well, the good is the enemy of the best," isn't healthy.
Right.
Because we're like, well, I'm doing good, so if I do even better, so I just won't even eat. I'll not eat for another day, and I'll be doing even better. Yeah, no.
So I think, guys, that you're listening. Again, we haven't solved a thing in this
Yeah.
hour. But we have illuminated it, and we have had a good discussion on what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I've learned a little bit about what the distinction is between the two, and to talk about it, I think raises awareness about it. And for me, it's actually illuminated more about social media, because I think it's a big. It's not a curse of the world, but I think in general, it's not good for everybody, because I routinely witness what you did, Monty, which is get on a New York subway and everyone's on their phone. Stand anywhere, everyone, and no one's talking to each other. Like, what did we do when we didn't have them? I'm in the airport yesterday. Not 99, 100% of the people were staring at their phones. Every single person, as far as I could see. And so no one's talking to each other or anything. I mean, what are they reading? The Great Gatsby? Are they catching up on, philosophy? Are they reading the Bible? Or
They might be.
Have you guys ever, let me ask
Some
you
of them.
let me ask you something. Okay, have you ever picked up your phone because you didn't want to have eye contact with somebody and you really, there's nothing going on your phone, you just picked it
Yes,
up?
yes,
I've done
yes.
that. I've done that.
I
I
do
picked
that
it up.
all
I
the
had
time.
no reason to pick it up other than I didn't want to engage
Yes.
well,
somebody
I
else.
have sat at the airport alone and nobody to really talk to, except it would be creepy to just walk up to somebody and start talking to them. And I just want something to be entertained, like watching TV, it would be, or listening to music. I just
Yeah.
look and read an article, but I'm like reading the New York Times, going down an article. Sometimes it's email, and that's one thing. If it's work, I guess that's a thing. But I'll tell you, today was a day when I didn't start on the social media. I haven't looked at Facebook or Instagram or anything this morning. I looked at my Bible reading thing, and I checked out my email, and I looked at the New York Times on my phone. But I did not. And I'm more productive. I'm more focused. And I don't know that I lose a thing by not
No, I like
looking
that.
at it.
I do. I've been in the habit of I look at the phone because the alarm and I turn it off, and then I'll see if I have texts, but I won't look at them until after I'm ready, after I do Bible reading with my husband, and then I will look at it. Like this morning, I had one from Tom, and I'm like, I'm not reading it. I'm not reading it until later because it can put me in a thing, and then I got to check the email, and then I got to respond, and I just don't. I don't do well in that space. I think it's not for everyone, but it works good for me.
And then, but there's a balance. Is you just hit something like texting is a way of my communication with business. Like I have
Sure.
people send consequential messages for texting about something. So I do have to check it. I have to look at it, but it's about control. It's, can I check my texts and email, which are work, without dipping
Getting
into
stuck in.
Facebook and going too far? And for the most part, I can. I have not had a problem, I don't think. But I notice when it gets a little much, when I'm sitting around, I have sat in front, woke up in the morning and started down that road. And 40 minutes later, I haven't done my reading. My coffee went cold.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to the gym and my plan went away and it's 40 minutes. And I'm like, ugh. And that I don't want to do.
I have a sponsee that it's doing that. And her response is, well, I can't. I have to. Like, no, you don't. You don't
Yeah.
have to look at it.
So is this a rabbit trail? Maybe. And so I don't want to go on too far, but I got to ask you guys, you're talking about texting and all that stuff. What do you think about pastors or Bible teachers that use their smartphones and not their Bible to teach from if they're behind a lectern or a pulpit on Sunday morning?
It doesn't bother me. If it's the Bible, it's the Bible.
Okay.
Doesn't bother me either.
Okay, then I guess it
Does it bother you? I think it bothers you,
They
Monty.
can have verses and stuff. They can.
Well,
So
what's the diff?
it's
Monty?
interesting that you say that, Monty, because this morning I often take my morning devotion and it references a Bible scripture verse or something.
Yeah.
Or the Bible quote of the day, but I'll read the whole chapter.
Yes.
And then I'm on this thing, and this is a tangent of which Bible's the most accurate. I get down this hole where you watch some anti-Bible
Yeah.
person say,
Yeah.
how do you even know it's true? Who decided what books? And there's a million books that aren't in it. And whose translation? And it's been, this
Right.
whole thing. And so I go, so is there a more accurate one? And there's like hundreds of translations, right?
Sure.
And so my phone, my Bible app allows me to toggle between translations easily. So I will do that. And I think in some ways there's a benefit to that. I wish we didn't. But
I think there is. I just, you know what, to me, I think it's just traditionalism that's on my part, But here's the thing that's weird about it. I take my phone to church and reference the scripture verses on my phone, but I don't like it when he's up there with his iPad. I'm like,
That's
why don't you use
funny.
a Bible? There's something about, watching good old Charles Stanley hold his Bible and preaching that I really like. And I guess I dismiss it. I also don't like it. I don't like it when leadership in church wears a hat up on the platform. I think you take your hat off.
Wow, we're really learning
drives
about
me-
Monty
Wow, you're
today,
getting a
right?
little
I'm telling you,
legalistic.
guys,
Yeah.
step 10, 11, and 12, that one, baby.
Well, I think with the times, our pastor teaches with an iPad. But I guarantee you, pastors, I'm sure they have many Bibles and they are touching those pages when they're not up there. Guaranteed.
It's
So
yeah,
I think,
it's okay.
I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it's,
we
it's
outvoted
okay.
you. It's okay.
It's okay. I'll put it on my weekly wine.
It's
on
a
Monday
Monty
show.
thing. Yeah, put it on your wine. All right. Well, I think we
All
got
right,
it.
guys.
We
So
got it.
We got a great closing song that Tom is going to absolutely hate. He got a little
Boy.
taste of it earlier.
Yeah, it should never be played ever again. But I guess it's for Alicia.
It's for
He
Alicia.
said it's really for you.
Do I even know what it is?
No,
I don't know.
You know it is.
Let's see.
It's entitled Binge and Dream. And then I'll come back with my closing thoughts. Closing thoughts from you guys, real quick. Alicia, you first.
I would say do 10, 11, and 12 on your behaviors and do a quick inventory and see if there's any area of your life that you are lying about usage of something. Are you binging? Are you not? And look at it and be honest if you have a problem or not.
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah, dovetail on it. 10, 11, and 12 keeps us focused on what we can do best. Are we looking at what we can pack into the stream of life is one of the questions in the big book that we ask ourselves in the day. And I think if you keep on that, it'll help you stay focused. And if you can't stay on that, right, something to look at.
And right after the show, visit cametobelieverecovery.org for retreat schedules that you could attend. We have merch there, like the Came to Believe #recovered coffee mug. Yes, you can
And
get
come
yours.
to the Wednesday Zoom meeting at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Email me at Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, at cametobelieverecovery.org. I'll send you the links to all that, and you can jump on board for that. All right, Binge and Dream. It's for Tom, too, because he's going to dislike it so much. So here you go, Alicia. I'll come back with my closing thoughts right afterwards. Binge and Dream.
It started with one simple show, just something light before I go. A bite of chips, a soda fizz, a harmless binge, or so it is. But then the plot began to twist. My workout plans were all dismissed. Just one more app, I softly swore, while reaching for the snacks once more. The couch once firm now molds to me a throne of sloth and gluttony. My jeans protest, my shirts rebel, my mirrors tales, too much to tell. Popcorn snowfalls, greasy stains, a diet lost in streaming chains. Rom-coms, thrillers, pastries, fries, my willpower in slow demise. A crust of chocolate bars and nacho dust. My Fitbit sobs in quiet shame. While credits roll, I dodge the blame. Still every night that siren call, the autoplay, the cliff edge fall. And though my waistband starts to groan, the screen still feels like sweet homegrown. So here's a toast, soda fizz, to every binge and snacky whiz. For in this tale of couch and screen, I've grown quite fat, but live the dream.
Yes, a little comedic music there when it comes to this topic, but I'd like to add that binging, whether it involves food, alcohol, television, or social media, can be harmful because it often leads to a loss of self-control and disrupts the body's natural balance. For instance, binge eating can cause physical discomfort, digestive problems, and long-term health issues like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. When binging becomes a habit, The brain's reward system is overstimulated, making it harder to regulate cravings or stop once the behavior starts. This cycle can lead to guilt, shame, and anxiety, which in turn fuel further binging, creating a destructive loop that affects both mental, physical, and spiritual health. Beyond the immediate physical effects, binging also takes a toll on emotional well-being and lifestyle. Excessive consumption of anything, food, media, or substances, can isolate individuals from meaningful activities and relationships, replacing healthy coping strategies with temporary escapes. Over time, this behavior can erode self-esteem and reduce motivation, making it harder to find satisfaction in moderation. So whether it's a night of binge watching, which disrupts sleeps, or repeated binge drinking that harms the liver, the long-term consequences outweigh the short-term pleasure. Developing mindful, balanced habits helps break the binge cycle and promotes lasting mental and physical health. Now that is certainly something to think about. Came to Believe Recovery strives to create and promote opportunities for life-changing spiritual experiences for individuals and families suffering from all forms of addiction. For more information, help, and support, visit CameToBelieveRecovery.org. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be your host on this episode of the Came to Believe Recovery podcast. And I would encourage you to like, bookmark, and subscribe to this show. When you do, you will join the Take 12 Recovery Radio family and will be notified of all of our recovery-focused shows throughout the week. Until our next broadcast, when we provide the essential spiritual tools needed to thrive by sharing our experience, our strength, and our hope through our stories of how we came to believe.
This has been a production of Take 12 Recovery Radio.
Kitty, kitty, kitty. Meow.
Woof, woof. This has been a Chicken and a Pig production.